Good morning, this is Maud Sharpen, Master Gardener. I'm with the Cornell Cooperative Extension of Genesee County. This morning I'm going to show you how to make a holiday outdoor evergreen decoration. First we're going to go over all the supplies you're going to need. Bows, I always make these ahead of time. Ornaments of your choice, depending on your container. You can pick different colors, different themes. Spray. You can also use sprigs of crabapple, snowberries. This can pine cones with picks. And I have pine cones that are pre-wired and threes, different sizes. And these are wired fake berries. They come in gold, red, green, blue. You can do a patriotic theme if you want. The red ones are very popular, of course. They're gold. And I will, at the end, show you how to wire your own pine cones, because there is a trick to it. And these are different, a little bit larger size pine cones. Okay, so you're also going to need hand pruners, sharp lappers to harvest your evergreen branches, smaller pair for trimming, pruning smaller. Then you're going to need floral wire to attach your ornaments, to wire up your pine cones. They also come on, floral wire also comes on a pick, so you can just push that right into your arrangement. Little metal pliers, plier cutters, metal cutters. These are jewelry cutters. If you need floral tape, there's floral tape. And I think that's about it for supplies. Then I have an assortment of evergreens here. You want evergreens, different textures, different colors, different shades, which brings a lot more interest to your arrangement. So starting down at this end, there's holly, this is pine, spruce. You can also use blue spruce. There are many varieties of spruce. Some have a little bit more of a grayish tinge, bluish tinge, a deeper green. Euonymus. This is nice for contrast. And this is juniper. And they all have different habits, so they also add interest to your arrangement. So now we're going to start assembling. We're going to start with the evergreens. I'm going to start with the tallest piece first that I'm going to put in the center and then build around that. So it's better to cut it longer than you may need, because if it's too short, you're out of luck, right? So you want to decide how tall you want your piece to be using the base, edge of the base, and I think that's probably about the right height. You want to leave enough to put down into your soil. Your soil should be moist, and typically we use containers that had annuals in them. We set them aside so they don't freeze. You want to do this before the freeze, or you won't be able to get any of your evergreens into your soil. So obviously I've got way too much here, so I'm going to strip this, and I'm going to save it in case I want to fill it late for later. So you should have an extra bucket filled with water. We're going to remove the side branches. So we basically have stake. You always want to keep them moist. If they dry out, they won't last through the season. I've had them last through Valentine's Day, which is awesome. You can always take it out if you decide it's too tall. Okay. look back, see if it's too tall, and I think that's a bit too tall. I'll take a little bit more off. We can get the rest of it down in there. Take a little bit more off the bottom. And position it, of course, if you want someone to see this 360 degrees around, you have to decorate all around, or just the front, and we're going to be working just the front, basically, through this piece. Okay, so that's our middle piece. Now we're going to fill around in layers and fill in all the empty spaces so that there's pretty much like a pyramid effect, or you can do a sweeping effect. It's all up to you, just be creative. Leave our branches filling. Make sure you wear gloves. I'm going to use the pine because these have a sweeping effect. I kind of like that. You can just set them and see how they're going to look before you place them. Of course, you're typically not doing this on a 75-degree day. So as you work, keep the pieces in the water. And I've built containers for gifts for my own use. And I've kept the evergreens in buckets in my garage where they stay cool. And I've worked with them for weeks. So I kind of like that already. We're going to continue to fill this around the bottom. You want to make sure you push them down as you can. And if there's a little bit of an issue, just cut that off. Okay, I'm going to get a little more. I forgot to bring my sharpening tool to show you, but I bought a sharpening tool, and these are probably 30 years old, but I continue to sharpen them, and I haven't had to replace them yet. It's a great tool. I think they sell it at Home Depot. It's orange. It's got 2 blades on each side. It looks like a little bow. So that leaves room for other greens, and we can always add more pine if we decide at the end. Now I'm going to move on to, I think, the euonymus for contrast. Now I'm going to add some contrast. Euonymus, this is euonymus green and gold. It also comes green and white, different shades of green, solid green, but as you can see, this is going to really pop. Trim, and you just want to set it in so it fills the open spaces. And hopefully you're working close to where you sourced your greens, because if you didn't, and you didn't bring enough greens, you're going to be short. And you can always cut them to make shorter little pieces. We're not going to do much with the back. Maybe a few. And as you can see, these have berries. So more interest. Okay. Again, if you don't like how it looks, you can always pull them out and reposition. Yeah, that's nice. We have enough for our other urn. We're just going to do this one today. It's demonstration. Let's see. We're going to now, I think I'm going to go with the juniper now. And if you don't have a lot of evergreens on your property, you can ask your neighbor if they would mind you harvesting a little bit. It is quite expensive to buy at the garden centers, so plan accordingly.
Or plant accordingly.
Or plant accordingly, yes. And honestly, once you harvest what you need, you can't even tell the difference. And you can, while you harvest, you can actually, do a little pruning, do a little shaping, and then it's a win-win. Taking off any dried material, dead material. Okay. So you can see you've got different shades of green here, different textures, which adds a lot of interest to your arrangement. And don't worry about not having room for your ornaments. There's plenty of branches to tie those. That's why you need the loppers. We're all done filling our container with our evergreens. As you can see, there's a nice display here, different textures, different colors, different shapes of leaves. And of course, this makes it pop. Anyway, so now I'm going to start decorating. I brought some curlicues. We're just going to sprinkle these in. And because it's a big container, I'm doing them in 3s, or you can do them in 5s together, because one really isn't going to show up very well. And you just can randomly place them in the soil. Adds more interest, adds a little color, especially because the theme I chose is red and gold. And you can never have enough. So save enough for the other urn. Okay. All right. Good. Move this around a little bit. All right. So next, I'm going to add some large pine cones. These are on picks. You can always make them up yourself if you don't want to buy them. Just randomly put them in. Okay, and it's nice to have them at different levels, not all the same height. Then I have some smaller ones that are wired. Just going to wire those on. And you can pre-wire them, just wrap them around neatly so that if you want to save them for the following year, they're easy to take off. So I'm going to put some small, then some large somewhere else. And maybe over here. So I recommend you wear gloves because the oils can bother some folks, and depending on the type of evergreen. You know, these are kind of spiny, these are spiny, these are soft. The holly is very spiny. You can get scratched up quickly. Okay, and then you can just bend them around because they're wired, right? Okay, I think we're going to do one more. Just so they're kind of balanced, you know, a little here, a little there. I put too much wire on these. But better have too much than not enough. Okay. So stand back, take a look, make sure you like it, everything you've got on there. Now we're going to add an ornament. I've got 3 different sizes. Okay, small, medium, jumbo. And then there's a few sizes in between. And this one's on a pick, so it's very easy. You just push it down in the soil. And once it freezes, everything will stay in place. It can get windy, everything will stay put. Now for these, I'm going to wire them. First the large one. So I've got a little bit of a sketch that I put together. I took some ideas off of Pinterest, and then I created my own. These are plastic. I recommend plastic. You buy them at the end of the season. They usually have them very reasonably priced. All different colors, shapes. Where are my floral wires? Okay. Okay, everyone, this is our final display. So you can see I've added all the ornaments, the curlicue sprigs, bow, tweaked it a little bit, moved a few things around for balance, and it's done. So if you feel creative and ambitious, you can watch the video and do it yourself. Just make sure you prep everything first and plan ahead and have some idea of what you want to use and where you want to put it. Thank you.